Oh, welcome to the channel. Right, so we've got two topics to cover today. They both go hand in hand with one another. Okay, so we've got Us director Jordan Peele, rumoured to be developing a Universal monster movie which would star Will Smith. And then we've also got some other news about Jason Blum discussing whether Blumhouse would lead or take charge of Universal's Dark Universe monster movies and all of that good stuff. So they go hand in hand with one another. They're all about the Dark Universe. Now, I am ready for people to suddenly, somehow, in their tiny little brains, immediately jump to the bigot comment when I say, I actually really don't like Jordan Peele's films. I've enjoyed one of them, but sadly the rest of them have unfortunately ended up with the same shtick. And that's the same for anyone. You know, like Ari Aster, I feel if he was to make one more movie, and Ari Aster's a white dude, so before you think I'm a racist, just calm down. You know, Ari Aster, Hereditary, and Midsommar have a similar shtick. They always start with a very, very visceral moment of shock and awe. Then they level out, and then they build to a crescendo. Literally, Midsommar and Hereditary both have the same pattern. And I feel that Jordan Peele has a similar shtick. Not similar in that regard to Ari Aster, but he has a similar shtick with movies. You know what's going to happen with a lot of them. So I don't really like Jordan Peele when it comes to movies, and I don't think he's as good as people have said when it comes to horror either. Now, I'm not saying that people are wrong for liking him. I think it's good to have a fresh face in the industry. It's just not someone which I align with, really, sadly. And Jason Blum, again, I don't like Jason Blum, so I'm very happy that his comments on leading the Dark Universe are actually such which indicate that he's not going to. So I'm happy about that, because I don't think Jason Blum is the right man for the job either. So we'll dive into this today. Ladies and gents, we're talking about horror. I cover horror a lot on this channel, and I'm also making my own horror fantasy movie. It's called Black Fields. That is the official poster. If you want to buy one, there's a link in the description box. There's a Teespring, says Blackfields merch. We're also crowdfunding for this film, so if you want to be a part of something original, then hey, check out the link down below. But let's dive into this, shall we? Right. So this was all actually over on Patreon, which is a really weird place to get a source from, but there's a reason why. So again, this comes over on basically goes hand in hand with an older Patreon post, which was from Daniel Reichman. The same report, again the same sort of post and things like that, which linked Ryan Gosling to an untitled monster movie, which was then confirmed a month later to be Wolfman. So there's a lot of legitimacy to these points, right? No, it's not been confirmed, but because it comes from the same place, and one's already been confirmed, it would seem to indicate that there's some legitimacy behind this report. So, even just after 2 films, Jordan Peele has apparently established himself as a prominent voice in blockbuster horror today. It only makes sense that Universal would have their eyes set on Peele for their next Universal Monsters film after the success of Leigh Whannell's The Invisible Man. Okay, now it appears that Peele's untitled film is looking to snag Will Smith, obviously Bad Boys for Life, as its lead. And Will Smith has briefly, I can't speak today, briefly dipped his toes slightly into the horror genre in I Am Legend, but a straight horror film is unproven grounds, basically, for the actor. He's not really done horror ever. Now, Smith is known for relying on his natural charisma in films without really sinking his teeth into a character that would make a collaboration with Jordan Peele a much more exciting prospect. Now, there's a few things here. Look, I don't hate Will Smith. I think he can be good. He can also be really, really bad. It's dependent what they're doing with it. It'll be interesting to see how this develops. So obviously last year Universal signed Peele on for a 5-year first look deal, and the studio will also produce Peele's next 2 movies. It's possible that this may be one of those upcoming projects planned. So basically the story is Jordan Peele's basically making a Universal monster movie, horror film. and it's going to have Will Smith in it. That's it. Now, the bare bones of it, Will Smith is a very hit or miss actor. He can be fantastic, like he was in I Am Legend, actually. He was great in that film. And he can be terrible, like he was in Suicide Squad. So he's very hit or miss. I think it could be really, really good, and it could also be absolutely balls. Problem I have is that it's with Jordan Peele, and I personally don't like Jordan Peele. I think it will be very paint by numbers. You can bet your bottom dollar the trailer will just have slowed down hip hop music, because that's super scary. Maybe it's going to have Biggie Smalls in it. Fuck knows. But it's a shtick that I'm kind of tired of. So I don't have a lot of hope for this. I don't particularly care. But I will watch it and I will follow it, and I will obviously update all of you guys. Now, my personal pick would be to actually get Leigh Whannell on to do a little bit more, but to get him away from... Get into the horror genre, but do like he did with Invisible Man, and do it under the proviso that you're in the horror genre, but you're going under a new sort of type of film. So like Invisible Man is a horror film, but it's also, a commentary on stalking and things like that, and it's just an interesting take on it. So that's what I would want. Pull him out of that and give him a little bit more to sink his teeth into. Leigh Whannell's proved himself, so I'd like to see a little bit more from Leigh Whannell. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. Now, and again, there'll be so many people that just jump to it, like, oh, you're racist because you don't like Jordan Peele. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, let's take a look at this one. So Jason Blum is ready and willing to take charge of Universal's Dark Universe, but it's not happening. This is how headlines work, ladies and gents. People always like to say that it's clickbait, but it's not. That's just how headlines work. So he is willing, however, he's not going to be able to. So he was basically asked, in an interview with Fandom, and he told the site that he's more than up for the challenge of taking charge of the Dark Universe for future releases, but the ship sailed. So he says, and I quote, "I would absolutely accept the task, but I don't think that's going to happen because the studio has been developing a lot of different ones. They're down the road with different people, and they made this decision to do it that way, so the ship has already sailed. But if they change their minds, I'm in." And that is what they're doing. So there's a few projects actually that's going on, right? You've got Dracula. So you've got Dracula going on at the moment, right? Which sounds like it's actually going to be a really interesting take. I swear they said they're staying quite close to the original Bram Stoker. You've also got Wolfman, or a Wolfman film, which is apparently going to be a bit Nightcrawler-esque with Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling's fantastic. He's really, really, really good. He was originally rumoured to direct it, but he's not going to. But Ryan Gosling, love him or hate him, I think he'd be great in a Nightcrawler-esque Wolfman film. I think that'd be really good. I've got a lot of hope for that. And then there was a new movie. There's The Bride of Frankenstein. That's still apparently moving forwards. And then there's a new film that James Wan is developing, which features teens. Again, I don't have much hope for that one in particular. So there you go. I mean, there's a lot happening. And obviously, Jason Blum, he's not really involved in that much of it anymore, which is very surprising because, again, Universal had a first look deal with Blumhouse. So you would expect that they would start to work together, especially because of Invisible Man. Invisible Man, I think, was a Blumhouse production along with Universal. So it is surprising, but there you go. Dark Universe is kind of happening, but not under the title of the Dark Universe. What do you think? Would you want Jason Blum involved? For me, personally, I think he's very hit or miss. They can make good films, they can make utterly garbage ones. So let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comments. And again, I go back to the Jordan Peele comment. What do you think about Jordan Peele, Will Smith movie? Do you think it would be good, or do you think it would be a little bit too heavy on the shtick front? I would be very, very intrigued to hear. And again, like I say, remember, the term shtick just implies like a paint-by-numbers approach, something which is synonymous with a person. And yes, it does have negative connotations. Like I say, Ari Aster has some shtick at the moment. And if he was to produce one more film like it, I would probably tune out to his movies, just because I know I know what I'm getting. Right, you just know the flow and pace of the film, and at that point, it's not surprising. I like a filmmaker to be a little bit fresh, not just completely paint by numbers. So let me know your thoughts on all of this down below in the comments. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Thank you so much. Take care.